Alright, we are getting ever closer on this Hyundai Sonata. Right now, what I need to do is paint the bumpers. Now, I've never done that, so I've got a certain amount of hesitations. I'm trying to make sure I know what I'm doing, what I need to do. I've got the paint, which is a little bit cart before the horse because my paint setup is not quite there. Right now, I've got a 20-gallon air compressor, which is not quite enough for spraying a car. Now, I probably can get away with that since I'm spraying bumpers and I can spray one, spray the other. I need a water trap and an air dryer, just the air coming out of the compressor, directly out of the compressor. It's got a lot of moisture in it, so you need that water trap and you need to dry the air. So I'm gonna get one of those probably from good old Harbor Freight because the price is right. Now, am I cheaping out? Maybe, but this is a setup that I'm just dipping my toes into it. Do I want to paint cars? I think so, but I feel like I should maybe do some cheaper packages before I jump headlong into it. I've got the good old Harbor Freight purple spray gun. I need a clean air hose from my water trap and the dryer to the gun. You want a clean air hose, nothing you use tools on just because you get oil in there and that's going to mess up your paint. You don't want to do any of that. So I need that water trap and that air dryer before I'm ready to spray. Don't know exactly where I'm going to spray this. I'm kind of just thinking outside. I do have a respirator that with the carbon filters in date because again, it's pretty important. Like you don't want to breathe this paint in. So here's the paint I got. I got a paint guy. He has hooked me up on what I need. So what did I get? So first, I'm going to tell you, just researching online, what I thought I needed. These are plastic bumpers. They are pre-primed. The primer is stuck to them well. Like, I checked to make sure it was adhered well, because if it's not, it's going to flake off. And whatever you put on top is going to flake off. You don't want that. So what I'd gleaned from the internet is if you're painting raw plastic, you need adhesion promoter. Then you can do your sealer, either a urethane sealer or an epoxy primer, which is also a sealer. And then you can do your base and clear. Now, I'd read online, if your bumpers are pre-primed, you do not need the adhesion promoter. The adhesion promoter is just for the plastic because plastic is very slick, so nothing sticks to it well. If you already have it pre-primed, scuff it up, then do urethane sealer, base clear. Now, I read debates on whether you do epoxy or not on a bumper. I mean, usually epoxy is for metal. I figured I would just do urethane sealer, but I don't know. All this is kind of hypothetical for me. So I went to my paint guy. This is a guy that he has a paint store, automotive paint store. He sells paint. He paints cars, on the side. So he has foundational knowledge I just don't have. So I kind of told him, hey, this is what I've researched. Just want to check with you. You know more than I do. What would you recommend? So now I'm going to tell you what he recommended. He said my bumper needs an adhesion promoter even with the primer, even after I wash it really well and scuff it up with a gray Scotch Brite pad, sending adhesion promoter. He gave me the good old Bulldog adhesion promoter, just a light mist coat on it. From there, I've got my base. And so, before he mixed up my base, I took him a piece of, this is a piece of the front bumper, I just sawed it right off. He was able to color match it to the bumper because paint, that's a 20-year-old paint. Is it 20-year-old paint? 10-year-old paint, 14-year-old paint. It fades over time, so he scanned it, color matched it to there. And I got good old PPG Shopline plus acrylic urethane base coat. I just kind of asked him, like, what's your recommendation for the paint? I'm willing to spend a little bit more for nicer paint because just in my experience with house paint, a little bit nicer paint goes a lot farther. And I've got my reducer. So I've got, what is this? Is this a quart? Yes. So he gave me half quart of the base and it's mixed at a 1-to-1 with the urethane reducer. There, I've got the clear, and so all this stuff has, like tech notes, tech sheet that tells you how long, like what's the maximum amount of time you can go before spraying it, how it's short amount of time, that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna look up the tech sheets on this stuff so I have a good idea of what my plan is. Is it clean it, spray that Bulldog, wait like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the Bulldog adhesion promoter tells me, then spray my base. Whatever that says, wait between coats, wait between clear, wait that amount of time. So on and so forth. For my clear, again, the clear is good old Shopline, and he did not have any like half-gallon or quart. I don't even know what measurements are. He did not have any half-gallon or quarts or whatever. What is this? This feels like a gallon. So he sold me a gallon at a little bit of reduced price because he didn't have anything smaller. I've got my universal overall hardener for the clear. So I want that clear, nice and hard, nice protective surface. I've got mixing cups, and the mixing cups are actually kind of handy. It tells you, how you're mixing it. If you're mixing 4-to-1, 4-to-1 to 2, 4-to-1 to 1. It just lets you know how you mix all that up. Let's see. Here's 1-to-1. Is it? Yeah, I don't know. I need to probably do a little bit of looking on this, because these are 3 mixers, 5 to 1. I don't know, man. I'll figure that out later. But this is what I've got. Oh, and then I've got this little strainer, because when you're pouring your paint after a mix, say the reducer and the base, or the hardener and the clear, you just want to put the strainer before you put it in your paint gun, so you're getting no crap in it. This is what I've got. So I need to get moving to get my paint set up in place, and really it's just this water trap and this dryer. I think I'll be set. And I can't really paint it in my shop here. There's no space anyway. So I just think out in the driveway. I'm not painting like a whole car. You know, maybe I think I've got like a tent or like something mounted up. Maybe I do it under my carport. I don't know. But you don't want anything falling on it. I'm kind of doing it open air, and that's not perfect. But you know, I'm bowling on a budget here, and I want to see how does this work. I mean, I'm new to all of this, and I'm fully prepared that my first time out ever using a spray gun or painting anything may not work out. I'm thinking maybe, I know I have a airbrush, and a wide airbrush, nice piece of equipment, and I've played around with that just a little bit, so I feel like that's giving me a little bit of a handhold, or that's giving me a little bit of foothold in what this is. And with that, I think when I first started using that, I just used water or maybe Lacthin or something just to spray through there, just to get an idea of, you know, what it's like to, I think it was water. Yeah, spraying water. Just an idea of what it feels like, you know, how far away, how close do you need to be with spraying the airbrush. So I don't know if you need to run water through a spray gun. I mean, I think the only issue would be reacting with your paint, you know, if it's not fully dry. Maybe just wait a while. But just getting a feel for like how close does this paint gun need to be to get the perfect spray pattern. You know, like just get some ideas. Because I want to do a little bit of practice first. I just don't want to jump into these bumpers and mess it up, because it's, you know, a bit of a pricey education. Not terrible. Not, you know, I'm willing to absorb it, because I realize with my level of knowledge, I may not quite have this. It may go wrong. But I think like the keys of a good paint job are clean surfaces. You know, like once you clean this bumper, put gloves on to clean it with Dawn dish detergent, clean it really well, do some ice purple rubbing alcohol if you have it, to just make sure it's clean, and don't touch it with your bare hands at that point. Make sure it's clean. And then, once you've cleaned it, scuff it up with a gray Scotch-Brite. Do not scuff it up before you clean it, because if you scuff it up before you clean it, you're just grinding all that crap into it. Then once you've scuffed up with a gray Scotch-Brite, clean it again. Dawn dish detergent, isopropyl, clean it again. Then, set it where you're going to paint it. Set it up, make sure you can get access all the way around it. Like, clean bumper. Like, that is step number one. If you don't have a good surface, like, everything after that is going to go bad. The next crucial thing is your paint setup. A trap, a dryer, a clean air hose. You know, a lot of times you get yourself in trouble, because if you're just using the same air hose for your tools and then for paint, well, there's oil and gunk in that air hose, and that's going to mess with your paint surface too. And you don't want that. Now, you could make it very easy and just do this all in a spray can. And I've done some like wicked awesome spray can jobs. I know I had a truck where I was color matching like everything in the engine bay. Orange truck, one in the engine bay, orange. I got a color match spray can to color the car, color the truck. And I sprayed the radiator housing, like the whole core support, sprayed the inner fenders, because, you know, that's not really the outside. It doesn't really need kind of hardener. But the thing that this does, especially on a front bumper, you want that clear and hardener to protect your paint, to protect everything, and spray can's just not quite going to do it. Like, you really got to go a little bit above and beyond, you know, with the inner fenders and the core support, where it's not really in contact with the world, per se, as much as anything else. You can get away with that. This, you can't. That's where we are. Hopefully, in the next video, I will have made some progress on this front. Maybe at least got my paint setup done, practice with the airbrush, or the spray gun. I mean, perfect world, I will have sprayed these bumpers, they look beautiful, and we're waiting for them to dry so we can put them on the car. We'll see. I'm ready to be done with this, but there's still like a lot, because even once I spray these bumpers, I can't forget about all these little bumper trim pieces. There's little like just bumper pieces on bumper trim pieces. I need to paint those too, because they are all scuffed, of course. I don't know about the rear ones. I think the rear ones are scuffed too. It's like just like little bumper corners. I don't know why it can all be one piece. But I got to spray those little things. Can't forget that. I mean, I could, but they're all scuffed, so it'd not be ideal. I think I put all the plastic and trim and foam and all this stuff back in the bumpers and install them in the car. It's a process, and I need to get going with it, because I'm ready to be done. I just, you know, with pretty much every project I do, once I get to this point where I'm like 80-90% done, start dragging my feet. I'm like, you know, like I'm this close. I start coasting.